So this is the excerpts from the rest of Chapter 2 of Utilitarianism. It's a brief reading, and it really deals with one point, but that point is so important for understanding Mill's utilitarianism, and really for understanding the problems, some of the problems, which he will deal with, I think, mostly in the next chapter that we read. Um, and the point that he's dealing with here is about how we're to understand the notion that happiness is the point of life, and also how we're supposed to take the greatest happiness principle as a directive for making moral decisions. One of the things I'm sure I've said is that, as it stands, the greatest happiness principle is not an imperative or a rule. It's a definition of what's right and wrong. But it, strictly speaking, doesn't tell you what to do. You have to kind of change it, right, into an imperative. And that imperative is basically do that which creates the most happiness and the least amount of unhappiness. And that goes right to the point here. And that is, Mill wants it to be absolutely clear that when he says that what you should do is what creates the most happiness, he does not mean simply your own happiness. That is, this is not a selfish philosophy. Um, it's not about doing what feels good or trying to get the most personal enjoyment out of life, I suppose. It's about creating the most happiness in general. And whatever I do as a utilitarian, I should try to create the most happiness. And of course, I figure my own happiness in. And it just stands to reason that most of what I do really mostly relates to me, right? Other people's happiness are not, they're not affected. But if they are, I can't privilege myself. That seems to be the most pressing point, the most crucial point is that in my calculations of how my actions will affect human beings and their welfare, how it will affect their happiness, I cannot give my own happiness any special privileged status, any weight. I'm just another person who's affected by my actions in a way. And so this, again, this is quite important, and it's something that he has to take up, in the chapter on the sanction of the principle of utility, because it poses certain practical and theoretical problems. The idea of motivation, and in some way or another, it may complicate the very basic idea of Epicureanism and hedonism, which is really the foundation, or it's really the identity of utilitarianism. That is, if I'm trying to get the most enjoyment out of life, that's my goal. Why would I do things sometimes that would reduce my happiness because I'm concerned with the happiness of others? You can see the problem.